Hello?
Can everybody hear us?
We don't know. We don't know if this mic is on. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Talk Shop. And we are
Sweltering.
It's not sweltering. We're just hot outside because I thought it would be a good idea to stream. Take off the sunglasses. Let's get personable with people.
Mess my hair now.
We don't know if this mic is working yet. So if you're in the chat,
yeah, let us know. That would be appreciated.
But I don't think anyone's here yet, so that we won't know until
they get here. We're just going to talk for a while. It does have a volume control on it, so we can try.
We could.
I think it's up,
but we don't know if you think it's facing this way means it'll work.
Hopefully,
we're professionals at this.
If only we had we're filming from inside our studio where we have our mics and our cameras and stuff set up.
You know what? I feel that it is going to be fun to be somewhere different. Our dogs can be with us.
That's true. Spending the whole time.
Dog toys can be with us. Anyhow, welcome. We are here today. Last week we were talking about conference talks and how to get started in the world of conference speaking and how to get talks accepted.
Yeah,
how to write a good abstract. We didn't really get
to that
part. I don't know. Hello.
Can you hear us?
Yes, that's really the question.
How's our audio?
Is the mic working? Cubby, here you go. But we'll see. But you're here, so hello. Welcome. Yeah. That matters. And yes. So let's see. So yes, back to that topic though of conference talks, and hopefully we'll get to then also how the art of writing a good talk too.
Yeah. So what did we cover last time? We came up mostly about how to come up with good ideas. I think that was the main topic we covered. To
be passion driven and to talk about whether or not can you talk about something you're not an expert about?
Yeah.
Can you become an expert because you've been accepted for a talk? Which
conference-driven development.
Right. And so, which both of us are an advocate for. Yeah. But today, I'd love to set some goals.
Okay.
Of what we can try to get covered today, because last week we just kind of hemmed and hawed. I'm not sure we gave good advice.
We had a lot of things coming in from the chat, and we spoke to them a lot. And the main thing we're doing here is engagement. It's all about creating authentic relationships with the viewers.
No, I'm not disagreeing with you. I just think it's important that we give that we actually try to give helpful
information.
Yeah.
Rather just being you sitting and talking nonsense for an hour.
Yeah. Okay. Can we also just address what you're drinking right now that you're not drinking on the stream? He's just drinking. It looks like a tall boy, and I just think it needs to be addressed that this is just water. It's called liquid death. It will kill your thirst. No, murder your thirst.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, you've not. It's not foreign for you to drink.
No, it really isn't.
Cocktail on stream, but I don't know, for some reason.
Should I save those for my streams? Is that better?
Hello, Greg. Welcome. Thanks for being here.
Hi, Greg.
Liquid death is yes. And
it's just water.
They're packaged as this is what a
yeah, it is basically water and toxic masculinity in a can.
No,
I think.
You do think that?
Yeah, that is the market is going for is.
Oh, I've never read the side of this. This is hilarious. This infinitely recyclable can of stone cold sparkling water came straight from the Alps to murder your thirst. When a group of teenagers set off into the mountains for a weekend of drinking regular water in plastic bottles, they became hunted by an aluminum can of mountain water that was dead set on murdering their thirst and recycling their souls. I could go on. I probably shouldn't.
No, probably not.
I'll probably get copyright.
Greg's asking if I feel manly while drinking it. I feel like this is the cheapest can of sparkling water that I can order with our groceries.
Oh, that's why you buy it. Got it. Yes. So it is liquid death. It's liquid. You can drown from drinking too much water.
You can die from drinking too much water.
Yeah. You can drown.
Well, no, drowning is like when you breathe it in.
You're right. I don't think you would, John. Okay.
No, there was that woman who what was it?
The radio contest.
Yeah, don't wee for a wee or something. Where it was you had to drink a certain amount of water and then hold your pee for a wee or something. The Nintendo Games console.
Sounds better.
Yeah, but it was like to win the games console, and she really wanted it for her child. But it can actually it can be fatal if you hold like your need to pee too long.
I'm realizing as we talk about this that I've taken us on this tangent accidentally. I'm feeling so guilty. Like I have an eating sense within like Ryan. I was the one that did this accidentally, and that isn't the goal at all.
Cut to chase, she died.
One person died.
Yeah, the winner
from drinking too much water and not peeing.
Yeah, some kind of like kidney failure.
That's awful.
Yep.
I don't mean to make light of this situation. Do you want to switch top? Now we need a really cool graphic that's like, anyway, we went to a weird place. Let's come back.
Kind of feel bad drinking over kind of a skull on it now. Like,
yeah, well, it's your choice. You made that choice. Okay. So I've also added a couple new things to our stream package, if you will. Okay. We've got some new commands in the chat. Wait, it's called Marathon Runners Die From It All the Time. Oh.
That's why I didn't know what it was called. There's no way I'm running a marathon.
Yeah, both of you had that. Both Ben and I enjoy marathons, so I think we're split audience right now. So some new
I can't imagine running that far unless I was being chased, to be honest.
New commands that we have in the chat are to add Slack. That will then show you a link to our community Slack so that you can come join and hang out there. I also have...
And there's another office hours happens on the community Slack before this, isn't there?
There are tons of office hours. Okay. We have tons of office hours that happen. So you can find out about all of those. Just join the channel and you can learn about all of our different products and engineering teams. Then we also have another command, Puppetize. We're talking about conference talks and what conferences to speak at. One of them that I think would be really fun to speak at is Puppetize. Let me add this to the stream. It is our conference that we'll be having in September. And so the link there is if you're feeling inspired after today's stream to write an abstract, then send it our way.
Yeah, and the people reviewing it will be very, very nice. And we'll give you lots of thoughtful feedback, I'm sure.
I would love to give feedback. Is that what you mean? And that's what this goal is, to be here to give help to folks that are interested. Yeah. So Ben put in the office hours. These are, in fact, this stream is the first time we're trying to stream office hours, and it might not work, and it also might. I don't know. I'm open to it failing.
I'm not. This is literally my job.
No. Your streaming is your job. Yes, sure. But go get it. Office hours, I think, can't maybe Puppetize once we could keep doing these, or maybe they don't work. I don't know.
Yeah. So if you want this to continue, you're gonna have to keep showing up in chat.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say. But if it's not I don't want to speak on behalf of the community. I'm the director of the community, but that means that I just need to solicit that feedback from folks and not be the keeper of that information. Oh, we're gonna be playing fetch all stream. So earlier today, I was like, Aaron, could we stream outside today? It's just so nice. And now I'm kind of regretting it.
It's kind of warm.
It's hot. I've been working outside recently in the shade, but I think what it is I've just been taking calls. I forget that even in a cool environment, sometimes streaming, I sweat. But why is that? Just because you're on.
You're more active.
You're like, yeah, I'm here.
We did decide to sit in the shade at least. We were going to set up on the deck, and yeah, it's pretty sunny out there.
In the sun. Well, thanks for
Thanks, Greg. Appreciate you.
Some people, I did take it to a poll to Twitter, and some people did vote to stay inside. They were nice for you. Maybe that was you voting. Okay.
I voted for outside because I knew that's what you wanted.
Oh, that's very kind. That's nice. All right. So let's touch upon the perspective of a reviewing committee.
Okay.
So I know you've been on a couple different review groups.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the things to kind of like bear in mind for it is, well, you can almost target it to the reviewers as well. Like,
say more of that.
So there's at least a couple of conferences where the people reviewing will publish lists of things that they want to see at the conference, like topics that they're excited about, that they want people to speak about. Either those be published as part of the actual call for papers, or
you said that last week, yeah.
Or I know, especially from PyCon, there's a couple of people there that they have blogs where they write these things each time. It's going to be different for each community, and normally what you can do is, if you don't know who the committee is going to be itself, or who's going to be on it, or if they publish those kind of lists.
Yeah, because I think that if you like to know who's going to be on the committee implies that you already know the community well. And so say I'm a new person to it, I'm not going to know who is reviewing it.
So email the conference and ask them.
Reach out
And go, hey, do you folks have a list of topics or
you're looking for
content on? Do you have any kind of plan for your schedule as to what kind of tracks you're going to be running?
That's a great idea.
Ask them, do you have any kind of like want to see lists like that any of your reviewers are publishing? Even ask who's going to be on the board. There's all these different questions that you can ask of them.
And people will give that sort of feedback, huh?
Yeah. Majority of the time, they'll give you that information. A lot of times it is published on the conference website. So do check that first. So you're not emailing them and ask them for information they've already published. Do a little bit of investigation first. Yeah, because you don't want to come across either as if you're
not doing your research.
Exactly.
I do that to Ben, I think, a lot, where he's like, there's a Confluence page for that, Lauren. And I feel guilty.
I'm not a big fan of Confluence. I find it very difficult to find anything there.
No, but like people go through the process of, and every company is going to be different.
Yeah.
But if people go through the process of documenting things.
True, but what I mean is, like, I can never find stuff in Confluence to find the things they have documented.
No, these things are pretty searchable on our end, I think. Anyhow.
Whoa, Pops. We nearly lost the laptop to a power cable there. Apple, bring back MagSafe. Please bring back MagSafe.
Oh, the one where it would pull in.
Yeah, the magnet.
That was nice.
Yeah.
Anyhow. Confluence search is less than optimal. Okay, he's on your side on it. You used to say that to me, Lauren. I can never find these. I would say there's a doc for that.
So Ben's like saying +1 to MagSafe as well. There's adapters you can get to convert them.
That would have been nice just now, huh?
Yeah, I used to have one whenever I was traveling, but I misplaced it at some point.
You misplaced something? That's shocking. I don't want to troll. I don't want to be mean to you again on this stream, because I think we got comments that that's what I did last time, and I really didn't mean to be.
You need to be your true and authentic self on stream, though.
That's not funny. Stop. Okay. So I think I think to play buzzword bingo or not.
What do you mean?
I mean, in the sense of like, that they're going to maybe like, sometimes you hear that resumes, they need to have particular words on them so that algorithms find them. And then it's like searchable, particular interviewers will then see it. And it's then processed to, the managers.
Yeah.
So should an abstract have all of the hot words?
No.
Okay.
I
think you'll hear people give that advice, though.
Okay. Yeah, you do hear. But then if you think of your abstracts for most conferences, you're going to lift your abstract and they're going to put it into the schedule if it gets selected.
Right. So that's a really important thing to know.
Yeah. And so it's going to be something that's going to attract people to come and want to watch your talk.
Okay.
If I'm reading a bunch of abstracts in the schedule and somebody is just like, it's just jargon, I'm going to be like, nah, skip.
Exactly.
So
why though?
Because I don't enjoy those kind of talks either.
But like, why? What's the matter with that format or style of doing it?
Because to me, it is like somebody playing buzzword bingo. They're just,
that is them just being a mouthpiece for something else.
Yes, yeah. It's like I want an abstract which sense the person is passionate about what they're talking about or has a story to tell.
Okay, so this is back to. I don't mean to like be like putting on my like English teacher hat, but it's like you're hooking your audience. You want to be telling them genuinely what you're hoping the audience will walk away with knowledge-wise in their head. Did they almost pull the... Yeah. Should we unplug it?
Yeah, I think we should. There was a chicken attached to it, tangled in it there that nearly pulled the whole thing.
There was a chicken attached to the charger?
There was a chicken tangled up in the charger lead.
Oh, a dog toy chicken.
Yeah, dog toy chicken. Not an actual real chicken. I
thought, wow, when did we get chickens? No. I think that's when... a good point. But when I review CFPs, I read them thematically. I look for a story, not just a technology. Yeah. And it's back to that. You remember how people make you feel, not exactly what you say. You knew I wasn't going to get that. No. You knew I wasn't going to. I just was on a call with Ben and I got an idiom incorrect.
People will never remember what you say. They'll just remember how you make them feel.
Oh, I really messed up that phrase.
I got what you meant though.
No, you're right. Okay. So it needs to really tell. It's back to it not only needs to give good content, it needs to have a story to it. It needs to have. Yeah.
Very much so. We talked, I think, last time about Lily. All of her talks are very, very much a story.
Well, and we also talked about the gimmicky style of a talk. How do we feel about those? And so it sounds as though we're being a little particular.
Yeah.
And we're kind of creating this pie in the sky of unicorn of an abstract.
That's what people should be aiming for. You're never going to get it every time. But you want to be aiming for something that comes across. We're going to keep saying this word, but
what we should have done? I'm realizing right now we should have really good examples right now to show people.
Oh, yeah.
We should have, maybe next week. I don't want to keep overextending this talk. I would like to get other folks to join me on this. You can also join us too. I don't do that. I just keep digging holes. Okay. So, some checkpoint pieces of are they telling a story? Are they describing what will actually happen in the talk? I think sometimes it's easy to be vague.
Yeah. And you do kind of want to, I personally kind of want a little bit of that. I don't want to give away
the sauce.
Yeah. All the secret sauce, in the abstract. You do want to leave something for the actual talk, because I've been guilty of myself as well, where I've read abstracts where they're so detailed. I'm like, oh, why? I don't need to see this talk now.
Because it's too specific.
I've learned it all in the abstract. I know exactly what they're going to talk about, which could be a good thing, because maybe I wouldn't have enjoyed that talk because stuff I already knew, but then there probably was things in it I would have learned. So it's everyone to get the balance right on. It also depends upon the conference as well. So some conferences will have a much more detailed structure for the proposal than others. At the very one end, you will have conferences that just want a title and an abstract, and that's kind of it. Maybe obviously duration of talk, or and that's all the information that they require.
But that's interesting. So you would prefer a really detailed Google form that takes the abstract when you're applying for it?
So you can take this very extremes. PyCons is a lot of information it requires. It's got your title and abstract, and you've got much longer description.
Right.
Then they want a full outline of your talk. A almost section by section, minute by minute, what you're going to be talking about throughout it. And that doesn't get published on the website. That's just used to show that you have thought about this, what you're going to talk about, and it's going to be well structured, and it isn't that you've just fired off an abstract 5 minutes before deadline.
Okay.
And that's almost a better way of doing it, even though I do submit a lot of things 5 minutes before the deadline.
Yeah.
Having a way to demonstrate to the selection committee that what I want to talk about without giving it all away in the abstract is kind of a nice middle ground.
Okay.
But I'm going to say before something else. Oh yeah, sorry. The other thing as well, whenever your comments to write about your abstracts, is we probably should talk about things like Global Diversity CFP Day.
Yeah, in January.
Yeah, February I think it was this year.
Come in.
So there is.
You can be on the show. Come on, good girl.
Hey, Cubby.
Hello, this is a baby Cubby. She is the cutest baby. That's all her song is, but it's really good. Ben will sometimes write the actual talk only after my abs. Exactly.
Yeah.
No,
every time.
Ben, I honestly think that is the way to do it, because what if it doesn't ever get accepted? And then you just like invented content for, our friend just did this. And we were like, no, you spent a ton of time writing a talk that might not ever get picked up. And that is sunk. Maybe you can turn it into a blog post. Maybe you can.
Yeah, these days with Twitch and with YouTube and everything. Yeah, you
absolutely.
If you feel really passionate about something, about a talk, and it hasn't been picked up by any conferences, why not just record it? And
why not turn it into? And I also am a big advocate for the democratization of content, that it should exist in all sorts of forms.
Yeah.
That if it is a conference talk and it, is it should be a blog post. It should be a YouTube video. It should be a podcast, a stream. What are the others?
I don't know. I think you got pretty much them all covered there.
Oh, like a Twitter thread, maybe?
Sure. That's gonna be a long ass.
You never know.
Yeah. Okay.
Get the highlights. Get on up here, sis. Get up here.
Mine also, I always put mine on noticed, which only really, you don't always upload your slides and slide deck and things, but people publish their slide decks a lot on, like Speaker Deck and a couple other ones as well. Their names escape me now. And that doesn't really work for me because my slide decks have maybe 1 or 2 words per slide.
I'm that way too. Oh, well, okay. So then should we take it to that place? Of the art of writing a good slide?
Sure.
Because I'm of the philosophy that is it so they're just getting a glimpse of how chaotic our life is, and it's so normal to us that it's just thinking about it from an outside lens.
There's just dogs everywhere.
Yeah. You know what?
We're not gonna play fetch the entire time, buddy.
How we like it. Why?
Here we go.
Why not?
Oh, it's I'm not coming in the chair. I want to play fetch.
Okay, so say it's accepted. Let's play that game. Hooray! Congratulations! That's awesome. Someone wants to hear a talk, and now you're in that place of oh my gosh, I have to turn. If you're like Ben and you have to then write it, you haven't maybe even built the code. You don't know if it's possible for it to run yet, or you do. And you just then have to turn it into a consumable story of beginning, middle, end, and know where you want to take people. Thank you so much for licking that, Cubby. I don't need you to do that the whole stream, though. Okay. I also tend to not write anything more than an outline and slide content ever for a talk. Yeah. If I'm not talking from my heart. He's gone on a journey of this. I think we at one point ended, you were exactly that way too, right?
100%. 100%.
And shocker probably to no one, to be very structured in my, I write a full script. I don't always end up using it, but I pretty much have a full, yes, this. I mean, sometimes I even write pause for one. And then no one laughs, and you're like, whoops, okay. But you then had to do a
so I went
what is that
full 360.
Called? You had to have a teleprompter.
I was gonna let you struggle that one, just to keep miming it. It was too much fun, to be honest. I was
what I meant.
Why is this ostrich attacking her?
No, you're looking at the teleprompter. You had to use a teleprompter for MongoDB Live or something? Yeah,
for their keynote, they sent a full studio. It was towards the start of COVID, in quarantine, couldn't travel to record anything, so they sent a full recording studio to our apartment. Took up an entire room.
Yeah, we were lucky we had a spare room.
Yeah, we were very lucky we had a spare bedroom because it was a lot of equipment, multiple studio lights and a teleprompter. And I up to this point, I kind of started when I first started giving talks. I would write my slides. I would have the very briefest of speaker notes. Sometimes maybe just if I had some facts or figures I had to remember, exact numbers, or if I'd thought of a little quip that I wanted to make at a certain point, those kind of things, little one-liners just to remind myself of what I need to say at that point. And that was it. and I would just get up and I would just give a talk.
And you and I kind of always went back and forth on like the value of that versus the way I did it. And we were very in firm camps on it.
Well, and over time, I still got to the point where I started rehearsing more to begin with. Like, so I would just get up on stage and thought it sounded more natural if I didn't rehearse it too much. I didn't want it to sound stinted. And then I started doing a lot more talks and realized that, hey, once I've given this talk like 3 or 4 times, it's actually starting to flow better, and I'm not umming as much, and I'm not as much, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And I started to like go, okay, well, now I need to do rehearsals. So the day before the talk, or sometimes the morning of it, depending on when I was giving the talk, I would give the talk like 6, 7 times, just in my hotel room to myself, which in it is actually a really difficult thing to do, just to sit and just talk to an empty room.
Well, that's what giving conference talks online right now is anyway.
Yeah.
But you had to learn it in a different time. I had to learn
a different kind of situation. I'm in a hotel room, and I can hear other people moving by. It's been people in rooms around me who just were like, what is this guy? He's just saying the same thing over and over again. Because I would like, if I messed it up, I would just go straight back to the start again, start over.
Right.
And then, but once I had to do the keynote and we had to use a teleprompter, I loved it. Like
a teleprompter.
Yeah.
Not a teleprompter.
Is there not an extra E in there?
Teleprompter?
No. So no spell check that?
It's a teleprompter. Okay, whatever.
Still don't know if it's data or data though.
Well,
yes, there's an E in there.
It is teleprompter.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Teleprompter? You say teleprompter.
Yeah, like television.
No.
It's a telly.
Stop.
Greg, is it a telly or is it not a telly?
Now, you've never said, let's turn on the television. Stop. You're messing with me. Okay. You have somewhat detailed speaker notes, but my goal is for them to remind me of the point. Yes, I think that is you speaking to like the rehearsal, that you're doing it often. I think that's the value learned is that you're able to, it well. And it's not a script, but it's something that you know the content and you've given time to think about that arc of it. So we'll probably never end up on the exact same page of it, but it's just some journey of learning of different things.
It's going to be really odd for me going back to do in-person conferences where I can't use the teleprompter.
It's not teleprompter. It's
I know.
Oh, you're now messing with me. Oh, I could have done that. I could have gone on. I was like, no, you just don't hear it. Okay.
But yeah, it's gonna be because all the talks I've given for last year, I've used it for them now, and it's great.
The teleprompter.
Yeah, and I've got mine set up so it auto scrolls as well, and I just have my pace set.
First time.
So.
Oh, for how fast you talk?
Yeah.
It also probably helps sometimes first-time speakers, you don't know how much to write for a talk and how long that'll give. And so you're kind of guessing. And that's a really tricky thing to know how much will fit in a 45 or 30 minute or 10-minute time slot.
So my first ever conference talk, I did all my slides.
Yeah.
And then I had like a slide that I could stop on, like that would be the end of the talk.
But if you had more time, you could keep going.
And then I had another 15 slides to cover another point that was, wasn't required for the talk, but was, really related to what I was just talking about.
Right.
And then I had another slide that I could end on, that would seem like a good ending point for the talk. And then I had like another block of slides with another point that I could cover if I was talking.
And which one did you actually end up going to?
Oh, in the very far end one.
So you talked really fast. Interesting.
I'd done the talk a couple of times, like to myself, etc., just trying to get the pacing right. So my first conference talk.
Sure, you don't know. You end up speaking so much faster.
Yeah, I was so nervous. I think it's whizzing for it.
Being a teacher, I just know exactly how to fill a 45-minute time slot to the exact. Because as a teacher, my class periods were 45 minutes. And so I knew, okay, you have to take attendance. Like there's a couple of business keeping things you have to do at the beginning and end of a class of assigning homework and whatnot. But like, I know how to format that, but it's the other ones that I kind of struggle with. Now I think my body's adjusting to like 30-minute time, like a meeting call that is normally 30 minutes. Like, I feel like my body knows. I don't even have to look. I'm like, oh, it's time to wrap up this call. But anyhow, I think that that's an interesting learning thing that you have to play with for yourself. Then get an audience of friends, do the practice, see if it's different timing than when you're on your own, so that then you can kind of figure out how much content you need to fill the time you're allotted.
I think mine's is roughly about 2,000 words for 10 minutes.
Of course you know this. I have no clue what mine is. One like funny story about that very first conference talk as well. Sure.
It was the first time they'd had people doing live captions for a talk at this conference. So there's people sitting with steganography machines, like you would have in a court, who are
typing
as you're speaking.
That are doing live captioning.
Doing live captioning. Yeah, it's an incredible skill to type
really
that fast. Cool. But it's the first time this conference had live captioning, and the people doing the captioning was their first time ever captioning a tech conference.
Oh, and so did they know the lingo?
No, not at all.
Or the jargon that you're using.
And the way these things are set up, it's not like a regular keyboard. It's almost like different, like you're playing a musical instrument, and different finger combinations are consonants. And
cool.
That's consonants. Sorry, what's the word I'm looking for? Words are made up of multiple
syllables.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Word just would not come there. So they're putting these different combinations together, and so it really helps if you can kind of think of what the word might be before somebody's even finished saying it.
Those systems are almost phonetic keyboards.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. Cool.
Yeah. So their very first conference.
I want one. That's so cool.
Mark Smith has one. He built his own.
That's awesome. Let's do. I would like him to. Well, okay. I want a lot of things. I would love to know because Ben is saying that is really fast for him. But I want to know what yours. I want to know what mine is.
Yeah.
Could we put this through afterwards and figure it out?
Sure. Yeah.
Like, is that a way to do it?
Well, this is more conversational. I'm talking more conference talking.
Oh, sure.
The way
you can put a video of you doing a conference talk and do it.
Yeah, so I have a couple of 10-minute conference talks, and I just did a word count on them, and it averages out about 1,800 to 2,000 words.
Got it. Anyway.
Yeah. So the open source steganography keyboard, if you do want to build one, it's Python.
Cool.
That's the software requiring it. Hence why Mark has one. Very excited about it. But the very first conference they did, the first speaker was Russell Keith McGee, who at the time was the president of the Django Software Foundation. He's an Australian, and he can fit a 60-minute talk into 4 minutes. This guy is fast.
He's fast and has an accent that the stenographer might not have been familiar with. Yeah,
talking about a topic that they weren't familiar with as well. They did a fantastic job, but it was like baptism by fire. And then straight after Russell's talk was my talk.
I don't think that's the phrase. Baptism by fire?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, go ahead.
Sure it is.
I'm not sure.
Okay, well, somebody else's job. And then straight after Russell was me. And my accent was broader at the time, more Scots-Irish. And I was incredibly nervous, so I was talking incredibly fast.
Mm-hmm. So you didn't make it easy on them?
Not making it easy on them, but I found out ahead of time that they were going to be doing this, and it was their first time. So I had a slide at the start apologizing for my accent and all, and the very difficult job that they had to do. And it was really fun to see afterwards that they had transcribed my apology to them.
Yeah,
because it was part of my talk.
Yeah, meta. Yeah. It's also cool when when conferences have sign language ASL interpreters or
that's becoming more common. I honestly, I kind of see conferences mostly going one way or the other.
Having one or the other?
Either having live captioning or having ASL. There's only been a couple of conferences I've seen who've had both.
We could scoot the table that way. I'm now in the sun, and I've realized I'm getting very warm. Yeah, see, now it's creeping in on us.
Okay, let's
go like this. Oh, all right. Oh, your way. Okay, all right. That's fine. That's fine. Okay. Oh, much better.
We have a very techie setup here.
I'll take a photo and post it afterwards.
Yeah, it's my incredibly battered like DIY desk that I, the very first time using a circular saw, managed to cut a perfect strip.
Oh yeah,
through.
there is a cut in this. That's funny. Okay, so back to the piece of writing, when to write the slides, when to write the like you've been accepted, you're writing your talk.
There's one step before that.
You've been accepted, you're writing your talk.
Nope, before you start writing your talk after you've been accepted.
Celebrate?
No, you've got to accept your acceptance.
Oh, accept your acceptance and confirm that you're going to do it?
Yeah.
Because you may have applied to a lot of conferences.
Yeah, so you're going to be applying to conferences sometimes 6-7 months ahead of when you might get your acceptance. Yeah. Hopefully not as long as that generally. Normally it's only a few months. But things can change and you could have clashes in your calendar. It's the same conference. The different conferences might be on the same dates, or you might have booked a holiday or whatever else. So all conferences will send you.
So you have to confirm.
Yeah, a thing to go, hey, are you still available to talk on these dates? So don't worry about submitting for a conference that is 6 months in the future and worrying that well, I don't know what I'm going to be doing in 6 months, or there's this other conference, which one I want to talk at more, I should just submit to that one only. Submit to them both. You will get an opportunity to accept or not later on.
Okay.
Like that is always a thing. I've only ever had one conference where it's been like, hey, you're being accepted and you're on the schedule, and I'm already published on the website, and I'm like, that's not cool.
That happened during COVID for me, but
But that's the exception, and you still have the opportunity of going back to me and going, hey, look, it's been several months since I submitted, something's come up, and that's doing that at that early time is fine, because conferences will always have a wait list of speakers,
of people that they can then go to. That's a good point.
What you want to try to avoid doing is doing it last minute.
Of course.
So Ben's saying something. Sorry.
Oh yeah. If anyone still cares about the water conversation, I'm drinking. Oh, that sounds delicious.
Jalapeno come.
Aaron, we have worked on the pronunciation of. Okay. All right. I'm gonna not lose my cool because I know that you're pushing my buttons. Stop. Hi. Thank you. I'm so glad that you are in support of us being outside. We decided to, the royal we, or I, decided that
the royal Twitter we voted on it.
It won. The poll won.
The poll won, yeah. Would you have abided by the poll if it didn't go the way you wanted?
Yes.
Honestly?
What the people want.
Or would you just delete the tweet?
I might have. No, I would never. That's funny. Okay. So it has been a journey in your pronunciation of more because in Miami, there is a lot of Spanish speaking folk. And so there have been some moments in which we have learned the pronunciation of quesadilla, for example, if I could think back to. And you
quesadilla.
Yeah, good job. All right, so he's on a journey. A jalapeno kombucha sounds delicious.
Still don't know how to pronounce vitamins right, though, do you?
I know you're messing. He winks at me, and I'm not sure that everyone can see it. And
that's what I'm doing with this eye.
Oh, yeah, you're turning and then winking with this one. Oh, I love when the gang's all together. Noreen, I miss your face. Okay. Noreen, we're talking about conference speaking, and once you've gotten your talk accepted and you have decided, you've said back to them that you want to speak
confirmed,
also.
You're going to speak.
And then the journey of starting the talk, and it's like a blank, empty doc staring at you. And it's like, what am I going to say?
Well, you have at least, until 3 nights before the conference before you even have to open that.
Okay, stop. But I think the inclination is to start. Sometimes you're like, let me just make some slides and make them look pretty. And it's, I don't know. I have been in that place where I'm like, well, I don't really know what I want to say, but maybe I'll build out the theme of my slide deck or something like that. And I think it's tough because a big advice I think both of us have is to not write your slides until you've written the talk. or at least, because if you try to do the slides first, it'll then end up being like, you'll keep adding and it'll just become some behemoth of a thing. But maybe you don't seem that maybe I'm speaking on, so I should speak for me. That's, I believe that you should.
So I normally start off by writing an outline.
Okay, I agree.
So I'll break it into sections. I use task paper for it, if anybody's used task paper before.
No.
It's, you essentially write almost like Markdown, and it's really simple way of just doing, like header, some bullet points underneath it, header, bullet points. And I'll be like each section, and then roughly what I want to cover in that section.
Okay.
Once I have that done, then I'll go into Keynote and I'll start putting my slides together, but with no design. Like literally, sometimes I won't even actually write anything on the slide, just in the speaker notes of like.
It's just breaking out what that looks like.
Breaking out what it's going to look like, and where I'm going to want the slide for, and as I'm doing that, I'll be basically writing the talk in my head at the same time. What am I going to say on this slide? What am I going to say in this slide? What am I going to say in this slide?
But then then do you go back and adjust your outline when that changes?
Sometimes, as I'm going through it.
Because that's going to evolve.
It will, and that's why I kind of like, as I'm talking it in my head, like writing it in my head, I go, oh, that doesn't flow really well. Like, this slide needs something else before I get into that section.
I see.
And sometimes I'll go back and adjust the outline. Sometimes I won't, because I'm not publishing the outline anywhere. So it's like my slides start to become my outline then.
See, that's what I think that gets really chaotic. But you like chaos more than I do.
I kind of thrive in it, let's be honest. You like chaos when it comes to the dogs.
I love chaos. I love chaotic dogs. They're so cute. But I mean, you're right. I think I like to be a bit more structured of like, I know what I'm going to talk about. And then the last minute I throw together some slides, not last minute, but like that's the last step of it for me. And my slides ends up having very little, I like really sparse, big 1-word slides, or just an image that are connected to what I'm talking about, but function almost as what?
Is it distracting you? Like, not too bad. I say I'm used to it by now. Like, every conversation that Lauren and I have, one of us is currently wrestling with a dog.
I mean, there is, and like always a dog on top of us. Those two are being really good, or they're eating something.
I think
if they're being quiet, it usually means that
I think Cub's eating a piece of the composite.
Oh, you almost said composite the weird way you say it. Composite. Composite? What do you say?
Composite.
No.
It's almost as if different countries have different pronunciations.
It's almost, I know. I'm sorry. We're sorry. Please love us.
But I do find myself now starting to actually write a script because I need it for the prompter.
Right. The telly.
The telly.
Whoa. Okay, well, Noreena's saying this is new. She tries to write out the talk before I start applying. Right. And that's, we've kind of gone back and forth on that I for a while was hesitant to that idea because I liked them to, what if they don't get accepted? And then you make a really good point of like, then who cares?
Yeah. Well, Noreen's making a good point next there is like, it's also the opposite, another effect as well. Like if you feel you need to do all this work up front,
then it's a blocker to apply.
For applications.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you stay in an outline place, that could be really, really just that way you could get 6 submitted, or have different. We talked last week about the idea of submitting to the same conference multiple talks, and that way you could, whichever one ends up getting picked up, that's the one that you build out.
And if you're only writing the abstract and things like that, rather than having to write like the full talk ahead of time, then you can come back from a night out in the bars in Chicago, realize that it's the last night, closing off a CFP, and submit it at 11:49.
We've been there before. That is our real life. You are right. Absolutely. I apologize for policing your pronunciation of things. Let's just enjoy the differences that we bring to the table. Yeah. I will try my best.
We did have a a person that we met who just did not comprehend at all that people could speak differently.
Yeah.
That was weird.
That was weird. They thought you
that was just making up words.
Yeah. That was tough. But this is a interesting. Tell me more about this, Greg, because I think I know what you're talking about. But you're planning your first talk. Your intention is to carry out the talk to Discord communities. So to do the talks in the voice feature of the Discord, is that what you mean? Because I love that idea.
Discord a video now?
Discord has audio and video.
It
yes,
has video
it does.
now. Yes, that's launched.
It does. Yeah, that's launched. I think it really depends on who you want what the content to go to, right? Like that is a great place, and it's kind of audio, camera, and screen, right? And I think that it's back to that, like, who do you want to get this content to? Who's going to find it helpful? And the Discord community can function the same way we were giving the advice of, like, going to a meetup and presenting there and workshopping your content with people that you feel comfortable and safe with, and then asking for feedback and telling them that you want to take it to an audience broader and want them to weigh in on like the format or what you're talking about. Their Discord is actually getting a free webinar-like functionality. It just went into audio beta recently called Stages. Oh, cool.
So not Spaces.
Not Spaces, but Stages. Well, these Discord communities have DevRel or people considering it. So wanted to make
That's a fun topic.
I love it. Absolutely. You absolutely should do that.
Yeah.
And you should workshop that. Get that to DevRel Con. Get it to,
all of the DevRel Cons. There's so many DevRel Cons.
Absolutely. And yeah, I mean, that's a great idea. And so Greg, that it's so great to hear when people share their ideas of what they're working on then too, because you then get that like affirmation of people saying, do it. Yes, go on. And like, we want to hear that and we want to help you get there with it. And so I think it's a good piece of accountability to share it also.
I'm just giggling. I'm sorry, because our Penny is currently holding a piece of wood in her mouth that looks like she's got a cigar.
It does.
Just this like piece of wood sticking out the corner of her mouth.
And it looks kind of charred on the side too.
Yeah. She's not chewing on it. I'm just holding it there.
An old-timey gangster. Oh my gosh.
Okay, let's get a photo with me. Show the chat. Let's try to get all the construction debris in our...
Wait, this is what she looks like right now. What? Our house is under construction. It's okay.
But yeah, the good thing about doing it to Discord is I'm assuming you're going to be doing it live, Greg. Like that's what Discord doesn't have the ability to.
Yeah, it would be live, I imagine.
Video in, because what I have noticed in this change from doing live presentations to doing pre-records, which a lot of the conferences want these days. Some will give you the option. They'll give you the option of doing a pre-record,
and then they sell it as do it record, so then you can be present in the chat to answer questions.
Yeah, not all of them. Some of them still want you to appear as if you're doing it live, but they more want it to make sure there's no technical problems.
Yeah.
Your internet doesn't go out, or your neighbor doesn't start cutting the grass or whatever. Some do want you to, so you can be present and chat and answer questions during the talk.
Sure.
Others, like DjangoCon Europe, is asking me to both submit a recording, and I'll also be doing it live.
So in case that
in case I have an issue with my internet, etc.
But what were you saying for Discord?
So Discord, I'm assuming this is all going to be live. And the thing I've noticed with doing pre-records and doing live talks is pre-records take me, on average,
you forever
15 to 20 times longer than regular talk.
He doesn't do it in sections either, Noreen, like we do when we're creating videos. Like he will do it all the way through and try to get it one go shot.
Yeah, one take.
If it doesn't work, like the last minute of it, you do it all over again. So save hours. So I think that conferences should be aware that probably is at least...
It's not going to affect everybody.
No, not everyone, but that is something like you're adding an extra bit of work for folks when doing a pre-record. So that's something to be aware of for sure.
I probably should at some point.
You are so good at tug of war. You are just so good at it.
I probably should go through and get all of my like ones I didn't submit, and just clip the last maybe 20 seconds because it'll be just me like fluffing a word and going off like every single time.
I think that would be funny. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a good idea.
Or I'll just launch into the stream of gibberish because of like my mouse just got that point where I've like went to say a word and the words come out wrong and it's just like okay, start again. And it takes me a good 8 or 9 attempts. So if I'm doing a 45-minute talk, then like that's what 6.5, 7 hours of just doing the talk over and over and over again.
Oh, careful, bro. He's fine. This is doing YouTube videos for sure. Descript is I haven't ended up playing with this, Noreen. We've talked about it, but Descript is the tool that does the audio recording transcription.
You can also edit it, can't you?
Yeah. You can add it. You can edit it, and even add it. It will take out all the ums and whatnot automatically, but then it will also add in if you want to add in text.
Yeah, and it can synthesize your voice.
It learns your voice if you're on the pro version, and then have it as though you're saying it. It's cool.
I wonder how it works with video. Can it work with video?
I don't think so. Not yet.
That'd be kind of. You've got those things.
You put your face on it, and I'm sure they've thought of that. Yeah, there's ones where people
like making old paintings sing and stuff.
Yeah. I've seen that on teacher TikTok, which is like the algorithm. Teacher talk is what I'm stuck in. But that's interesting. They use it as a way to like get kids excited about whatever, like have Mona Lisa rap Hamilton or something.
Because Hamilton's not exciting enough.
Okay, that was a bad example. But put something.
I get what you're saying.
Okay, fine. Whatever. No, it's a way to get Mona Lisa interesting.
Oh.
That was the backwards way, like something that they like, but that would be terrifying a bit. It's like the uncanny valley of adding face.
That would be awesome. Like imagine if you got to the point where you wouldn't actually need to give the talk. You would just put in a bunch of video of you.
No, it wouldn't be awesome.
But a bunch of video of you, give it a bunch of audio recordings of you speaking, and then just give it the script. And it's just you talking perfectly every time.
Yeah, we got to try that. I think it would lose a lot of the humanness, obviously, of it, but maybe that's where the future is going.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Why pay actors like millions of dollars when you can just have a AI generated person do all the stuff for you instead?
I swear that's what they did during the Dear Evan Hansen to Ben Platt's face, but that's a whole other conversation. Okay, so moving on to the talk itself. Best tips in the world of live coding. Say, for example, you want to demo something.
Sure, don't.
No, I don't agree. I love a live code.
Whenever I'm giving a talk, I always see live code a lot. Like, it's.
Look at him! I'm like almost lifting him up.
So whenever I'm on stream and stuff like that, I'm live coding.
Sure.
Whenever I'm doing a workshop, or a webinar, I'm live coding. If I'm giving a conference talk, even if it looks like I'm live coding, I'm not.
Okay, so say more of that. What do you mean? What do you do?
So if it's to demo what I've just built or what I'm talking about, then I will do a screen recording.
Okay, and then play that.
And play that and talk through it as it's playing.
Right.
If I want to...
Do you pretend that you're doing it?
Not generally,
Do you know what I mean? Like, you're like...
No, because normally I'm not standing at my computer. I'll be standing,
next
like walking on the stage or moving about a little bit. My hands, as I talk with my hands, so they're going everywhere.
Right.
So it look really
weird. The magic
weird.
of it would... Yeah. Okay.
Smart. So I normally just have like a video that plays whenever I push button. I have done a couple ones where I kind of toyed with the idea of making it look as if I was doing a little bit of live coding.
Yeah.
And there is a couple of terminal scripts. What's she doing?
You keep talking.
Okay. Cubby just started coughing, so we're just going to check on her.
Eating.
Oh.
She's fine.
Okay, she's okay. So there's a terminal script you can get where you basically give it a bunch of commands and some output, and then before you start your talk, you execute the script,
Oh yeah.
And then every time you press a key,
it will run the next one.
It'll do the next key in your script that you've given it.
Yeah.
So you can just type away, and act as if you're actually typing the code itself.
But
you don't need to worry about typos. Yeah, it's going to do it perfectly. Even if you miss key or you don't if you hit the key next or whatever else, there's never going to be any typos. It's just going to run every time.
Bye, Greg.
Oh,
Miss you.
See ya.
Pretending like you type is just something for the CEO. Also, hi, welcome to the chat. I'm happy you're here. And then ensure you don't need good internet. Create virtual M's pirate. Yep, or puppet.
Yeah.
I think that's the big piece for me, is that like you can never, especially go into the future where we're in person.
Mm-hmm. You can never rely on conference Wi-Fi.
You can't. And so even if you think you have backups of a hotspot or just like, it's a nice guarantee, because, and your point too, having the script there ready to run, in the sense of it just guarantees the typos don't happen, because that's so easy to do or slip up. And I've had, people yelling out typos, which I do appreciate, but it really rattled me. And
I had a friend of mine were doing it's actually a very weird talk at a meetup where we did kind of like a head-to-head, where I was coding something in Django and he was coding something in Ruby on Rails.
Yeah. Oh, that's what we've been talking about. Like the running, and a competition show for the stream.
Yeah, but it's kind of like, this is how you create the models, and he would go, "This is how I create the models." And I would listen, But because it was at a meetup and there was a bit of like friendly banter beforehand, and we were, having our pizza and also having several drinks. So by the time we got up on stage to do this, Colin was a little bit tipsy.
Oh no!
And I can't remember what the command is, but whenever you start a Rails app, like create Rails app, whatever it is, and then you give it the name of the project.
What did they name it?
No, he just like had a typo.
Oh, okay.
Say it was supposed to be like to-do app, and he was like TOOD, so it was like Todd app instead of to-do app.
Sure.
But that meant that for the rest of like the talk, for the rest of his demo and his live coding, he had to remember to do the same typo each time.
Oh, sure.
Because it was like all the stuff then was created as Todd instead of to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that Django looked great compared to Rails that day.
Okay, but that is just, we're human. We've generally run hardware Ethernet to each podium for PublicConf in the past. Make sure that you remember to plug. Yeah, that's a lovely solution and really thoughtful.
Yeah.
Because you never know, like what you maybe you want to pull up a link suddenly. You just like someone asks a question, you want to show something. It allows for that. Yeah, genuine. Let's get some feedback and do something together. So it was really nice seeing you. Thanks for seeing him.
Good. Thanks for joining us in chat.
Yeah, we appreciate you.
So at a conference 8 years ago, I saw one of the speakers.
I've done this. This is what I've done to avoid typos. Is just copy and pasting. But I do like that idea of the script piece. So
what I do for workshops is I write all the code ahead of time.
Yeah.
And I have it all in like Git commits and like tagged for where I should be at each point.
Well, that's how I feel about a good tutorial, is that it takes you have those versions of it, and then you can show them, where you are in it, and the beginning, the end, what it looks like. Yeah. I guess all good practices that you implement for a good tutorial also apply for
pretty
a good talk.
But it means that whenever I'm
having a light bulb moment.
as I'm like writing out the code, and then you go to run it and there's an error or something, I just do like, git checkout tag, and now I know that is the exact right code. There's no typos or anything like that. I don't need to like go search through and try and find where I've transposed the variable.
That's a good shout.
But the one I was talking about where it was still one of the best talks I've ever seen was this speaker wanted to do an open source commit live during their talk. But obviously to do that, writing the code and stuff, and then there's other things involved there. They're not very interesting to watch, creating the PR, and then like checking all the tests run, and merging it in and getting it deployed and all this. which is a lot of time where he needs to be quite focused on it.
Yeah.
But it's not very interesting for the audience, to watch.
Well, if you're talking through it.
That's what I'm saying. He need to be quite
focused,
and it didn't have an awful lot of time to get this merged in.
Right.
So the way which he did it was when he went off to like start doing the code and to create the pull requests and everything else, which was like 20 minutes of the talk. He had 2 laptops, and on the one connected to the projector, he started a video he had pre-recorded of himself talking about the process of how you like get something submitted to this open source project. So talking a lot about
the broader piece
of it.
I thought that you were going to say that he had the talk, like another laptop with that already built out, like kind of like in a cooking show where they put in the ingredients cold, and it's like, now put it in for 20 minutes, and then they pull out the one that's been
Blue Peter. Here's one I prepared earlier.
What's a Blue Peter?
I need somebody else from the UK in chat.
I think Lumiere is.
Blue Peter used to have here's one I prepared earlier.
Every cooking show does that.
Blue Peter's not a cooking show. It was like a kids' TV show.
Oh.
But it'd be like crafts and stuff, and like you might have to paint something, and rather than waiting for the paint to dry, there's like, here's what it is. Yeah. But the really interesting thing what he did is, as he's sitting in the front row now, like coding away, and a video of him is on stage giving the rest of his talk.
Right.
He would have bits where he would talk to himself from stage, and it would had like a pause in the video for him to answer back. So he was having a conversation with himself as part of the talk.
I've seen a professor do that.
It was really good.
Also on Teacher Talk. Nope, just prefer UK English. Oh, I just made that assumption. Where are you? Like not specific location.
And have you seen Blue Peter?
I don't think so. That's what they're saying.
You might watch it for the pronunciation.
Good point. Okay. Can we go back? There's another point I wanted to, someone asked a question at one point about, okay, say you're given 20 minutes to give a talk on something. You have a ton of content. How long do you spend, or do you recommend, how long do you prefer people to spend kind of setting the ethos of themselves, or why, that like, how some people like will tell a whole background of who they are, where they've worked, like kind of establishing their credibility. Is it worth it? Do you need it?
Oh gosh,
there's a lot of opinions on this, and I know that this is just your opinion. And
it's just my opinion, and I'm talking from a major place of privilege here as well, because I am a white guy in tech.
Yeah, you're a dude, so there's
people are never going to question my credentials,
right?
My ability to talk about a subject. They're just going to assume that I am qualified to be speaking about something if I'm on stage.
Yeah.
That is a privilege that I have. It's not a privilege that everybody will have.
Right.
So I don't spend an awful lot of time going into my background or about who I am. I normally have hey, this is my name. This is my Twitter handle. This is where I work. Mm-hmm. And now I go. It's maybe 30 seconds at most.
Right.
Where I make that very same joke I make every single time at every conference where I'm like, I am Aaron Bassett on Twitter, on GitHub, on LinkedIn, on everywhere else, because I have zero imagination. I make that one joke, I say where I work, and then I go into the talk.
Got it.
But that is a privilege, and I am very aware that's a privilege.
Okay, so thank you for acknowledging that privilege. But what then do you think? You know what I'm talking about, though? Maybe if it's relevant to the story you're telling, like it's, my team at XYZ, this is the
very
problem we're solving, kind of setting the stage for. Yeah,
but then that's not like.
That's not you.
That's not you. That's you're introducing the story. You're giving the context. You're making it relatable. That's all great things, and I would still do all that stuff myself. It's the people, and generally. I'm not as accepting of this from people who look like me, because it's like you don't need to get up there and come across as boastful. I think is, I know some people, they really do need to establish their credentials.
Well, no, that's kind of the perspective I also want to point out too is like, yeah, you need to establish your credentials, but also the talk is for you to give content, not for you to. It's for you to give something useful for something. Right?
Yeah. And I really wish it was like that nobody ever had their credentials questioned and it was just by the talk. But I know for some, just to get so people don't switch off or leave or anything else, that they do feel that they need to to essentially prove themselves almost before they give the talk. And I'll never begrudge somebody doing that.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
But yeah, it's whatever level you think you need to get to, but you don't want to come across as one of these people. It's just like
that's selling yourself as the product or your company. Like, if you're there to give a service of talking about a solution that you've come up with, or
if we're 20 minutes into your 30-minute section and you're still telling us listing off your CV, that's probably too much.
Couldn't agree more.
But yeah, if you want to spend the first couple of minutes kind of establishing yourself as why you are the person that should be talking about the subject, great. If you can relate it to
the topic,
even better.
Sure. Okay, so it sounds like you're ending up at it depends.
Yeah.
Lumiere, you say, my hope is that the person's content speaks for their knowledge, but I totally understand. Yeah, I mean, that's I would hope that I'm going to give a solution. I'm going to tell about my expertise or something that I'm really passionate about. And that is enough for me to validate the selection committee choosing my topic, right? And you hate when the talk sounds like someone who wants to find a new job. Do you mean in the sense of they're like selling themselves as a CV? Yeah, I guess that's kind of what I was wondering about too. And to switch it on the other side of it, I hate when someone is selling just their product or their job. Like, it's almost the opposite end of that. Like, I work here and I love it so much, and here is the product and here's why it's so great. And it just then ends up feeling like a sales pitch. And
it's a difficult balance, especially in our industry. Like in DevRel, that is part of our job, is to be promoting the company we work for. I don't do sales talks. I refuse to do sales talks. I don't think they're good for my employer,
right?
For their brand. Also, that's a career killer for somebody in DevRel. If you get a reputation of somebody who does like just sales talks, like sales pitches, you'll stop getting asked to conferences. But I also am very aware that I wouldn't be on that stage without the support of my employer. Right. They're paying for me to travel. They're paying for my accommodation, all those kind of costs. And I did do conferences before I became a developer, like in developer relations, and I paid out of pocket for them, which meant I could do maybe 2 conferences a year, 3 at a push.
Right.
I couldn't do 3 a month.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't afford the time off work, never mind the out of pocket expenses. So I do want to acknowledge that for my employer, but my acknowledgement would be like, hey, here's my employer's logo. What it was next was like, we do telecommunications APIs. If you want to know more, we have a booth. Or if you want to know more, come buy me a beer afterwards. That would be it.
So
those people,
yeah. Then you're allowed to, talk about whatever it is that you're, providing a solution for or whatnot. Yeah.
And I've been very lucky in that a lot of times my employer doesn't care what I'm talking about. I got to travel and give a talk about ADHD. That had nothing to do with like any of our products at the time.
No, it was
weirdly
a good talk that was about mental health and the tech industry in general. And
they saw a value for that to the community, so that's why I was allowed to go do it.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Okay, so that seems like a good, I guess maybe like in the sense of covering the talk, how to begin it,
like the writing,
how to handle the live coding. What about, I know some people have opinions in the sense of like, do you outline what you do at the beginning? Do you do that?
Do I outline?
Like, do you tell the audience, like, give them an outline of what you're going to be talking about?
I don't, but I know a lot of people, you tell them what you're going to tell them. You tell them it. You tell them what you told them.
Aristotle, right?
Yeah. I know a lot of people follow that. I don't.
It's interesting. I like it sometimes when someone like they kind of outline it so that I can have a mental expectation of it. It's kind of back to an abstract, like telling you what you're going to walk out of the conference with, I suppose.
I take it back to the whole storytelling thing. If I'm going to tell a story, I don't go through and tell you what the story is going to be about. I just tell you a story.
Sure.
You know, and to me, that's the more important part of the talk.
I know, it's so interesting. I really, you give really broad topics with someone. Yeah. So maybe that's the better in between. Mm-hmm. I like it. I like that opinion.
But I do tend to do a little recap at the end, but it is very much just calling out almost what my section headers were from
your outline.
My outline.
Yeah.
It's like, this is what we talked about. You know, here's, or even some of these are the key takeaways I was trying to get across.
Mm-hmm.
The secrets talk, I think I do that where I have like 5 things at the end.
Big takeaways.
Big takeaways.
Yeah, I like that because, and it then sends people kind of like on a journey of what to be thinking about next. And like, what should I be playing with or exploring and, you know, trying for myself now, and kind of that inspiration of, wow, I'm buzzing about what you just spoke about. I feel like I now am going to go build, and it gives me that next very tangible prescriptive text of what to do.
Or if you've just completely nodded off during the entire talk and are just coming back around ready for the applause part, at least you get like the key points.
Cool. Yeah. I was there for that talk. Sure. You're right. You're helpful for them. And I can appreciate conferences are long. Sometimes you do need a little snooze. Yeah. What about Q&A? If you're given the option, do you do a Q&A or do you just run through your whole time and it's all out of time, gotta go? I will admit, I will own right now that I'm usually that person that just like goes all the way through my time slot because I don't love well actuallys, and that feels like a gendered thing that I do get. You know, like, oh, you're talking about this particular language, but have you tried this one instead? Like, no, we're talking about, But
questions
that's a very particular preference. What do you prefer?
It's
okay. I'm afraid that makes it sound as though I don't like to have a dialogue about what I'm talking about, because I think there is value in a Q&A, but I think
it's not so much a question, more of a comment.
100%, and it feels really vulnerable to be on stage, all eyes on you, and them correcting you on. I don't know.
It's the people who are like, you know, Murph. They stick their hand up to ask a question during Q&A, and they get the microphone and they're like, "Hi, have you considered that I really wanted everybody to know just how smart I am? Exactly. So I'm going to try and trip you up right now." I hate that kind of stuff as well. Right. And so for me, the Q&A, honestly, it kind of depends upon where I'm giving the talk. There is a few conferences and organizers and people like who I know are chairing different tracks who I know will shut that down. You know, they will not allow it. You know, it just does not happen on their tracks, and they will just turn the microphone off. And those ones I really don't mind doing Q&A at.
Right.
You know, because it's a safe space. You know, I know that I'm going to get actual questions. And there has been times at those conferences where I've had a really good question that I have not known the answer to. I've just been like, hey, I'm not sure. I don't know. But then afterwards, I will go and I will find out the answer. I will then like message that person on Twitter, post on Twitter. And then that becomes part of my talk the next time.
Then it helps add in, inform it. This is a good point of just keep the question short. And then that doesn't allow for someone to be showboaty. And on Zoom, love a Q&A because I have the live moderation of the questions. Yeah. And you can answer it in text form too and provide a link or, The
most wonderful response I've ever seen at a conference to somebody who did one of those, like, you know, questions that was literally like, hey, everything you just said is wrong.
Yeah.
Have you considered doing it this way instead? And we're making a statement.
Right.
And then put a question mark at the end.
Right.
And the person just stood there, let them get it all out of the system, went, I'm sorry, did you have an actual question? And it was just like, yeah, perfect answer, you know?
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's nice when people do that though, too. That's like cool allyship also, right? Yeah. All right. Final question someone asked was where to find conferences to present to, other than, you know, here we are right now saying like, apply to speak at Puppetize. That would be really awesome to have you there, because it would. But like in general, what's the art of finding conferences if I'm not connected well with a particular community. Why didn't you submit that talk? That's great. That's awesome.
Yeah, or it's just like, yep, this is my microphone right now. If you want your own microphone, then you submit your own talk. No, but so onto that person who wants to submit their own talk, where should they submit that talk? How do they find places to be? So PaperCall.io is probably the biggest one for me.
All right, let me put that into the chat. PaperCall. Is that just kind of you go as for all sorts of
typo?
Thank you. PaperCall.
Maybe put it in the browser first to make sure you're not putting some weird link into your chat here. We've all heard the whitehouse.com stories.
Yeah, PaperCall.
Cool.
So you can use it to find events and things to speak at.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great resource.
So let's put the link in. There we go. So PaperCall is probably my one I use the most, to be honest.
This again.
Yeah.
So hard.
Okay, I'm gonna try it. Oh no, wrong way immediately.
Isn't it? It's so hard.
There we go.
Wait.
I should know because it's in front of you. I should just point at you.
Well, that's a logical thought, of course. Right. It's okay, I'll think of it. It's by my chin.
Hey, there we go.
Kind of, whatever.
Okay. So it's a great resource. It's not gonna have everything because it relies upon the conferences also knowing about it and submitting it there.
Right.
So
but it's a good place to start
when
you're wanting to get warmed up to conferences and want to apply to get something accepted, or because I think a lot of people do it the opposite way. They've had a really good experience. I fell in love with RubyConf. I loved it. And then was like, oh, I want to start speaking at RubyConf. How do I get going? I started at Ruby meetups and then, and that was the journey to finally get there. So I think but if you are wanting to take it the other route of just like, I just want to get experience speaking, and that resource is a good one.
Conf.tech, that's another one as well.
Okay.
That's very similar kind of idea. But what you're saying there as well, if there's a conference you've been to that you enjoyed, follow them on Twitter, sign up for their email newsletter, whatever they have, and then just keep an eye out for, normally, it'll be maybe 4 months after the conference, whenever they start opening call for papers for the next conference.
Yeah.
Because it takes a long time to give people time to submit and then to review them and then to notify them long enough ahead of the conference to give them time to write it, et cetera, et cetera. So it's not like I'm at a conference and it'll be a year before I can submit to this conference. No, it'll be 4 months, 3 months sometimes. So make sure you're following them. Make sure you keep an eye on their socials or whatever else they have, like subscribe to the RSS feed of their blog. That's still a thing. Google Reader's coming back, isn't it? Anywhere you can find out where they're going to announce whenever their call for paper opens and do it that way. Also just look for other conferences, in your
area of expertise or knowledge. Yeah. I mean, when I joined Puppet, I had to start looking at more DevOps. That wasn't, we were at a telecommunications API company beforehand. And so it's like, Cub really wants to be on the show. Come on up. Oh, this is good. This is a good way to wrap up the show, actually. So I have another call to get to, but thank you for joining. It has been really fun to have you all with us. Sorry, it's uncomfortable but it's been really lovely to talk with you all today. So thank you for being here with us. We really appreciate it. Oh, yeah, we have. It's been very fun. Okay, we're probably going to leave and handle all this. But yeah, we appreciate you all. And I'll be back next week for another office hours. So be sure to join our Slack.
Use new commands.
I know, I'm excited. If you enter this command in the chat, you will see a way to join and never miss out. And we'll see you all very soon. Goodbye. Good job.